Very good evening, everyone. Today's episode, we have preponed it by one day. Generally we do it on every Saturdays, but tomorrow, being Diwali, we wanted to bring in Diwali a little early for everyone, and we have got you. I think you're on mute, Bhanu. Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes. Yes. So we wanted to bring Diwali one day early for everyone, and I think today's conversation is going to be very insightful for everyone. And we've been following you in a lot of TV channels. We've been following you in media. And first of all, hearty congratulations for all your achievements.
Yeah. Thank you, Pavan. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yes. So we have, a lot of students, parents, and also a lot of principals also joined this session through various platforms. So we are live on Facebook, we are live on Instagram, we are live on our applications, and we are live on Zoom. So I think there will be a lot of key takeaways. And the beauty of this video content is even people who could not attend live today, they'll be able to access to whatever the conversation that has happened now.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
Looking
yes.
forward to it. Yeah.
Yes, same here. So, Bhanu, I mean, before we talk about, what you do with math, can you just talk about your schooling? Where did you graduate from, and your childhood experiences and your mathematical experiences right from the childhood?
Sure. So again, for the people who are watching me or probably have not seen me so far, I'm 21. Neelkantha Prakash from Hyderabad, and yeah, my schooling was in Bharati Vidya Bhavan's Jubilee Hills, right here in Hyderabad. And I went on to St. Stephen's College in New Delhi after taking 1 year at IIIT Hyderabad. So yeah, I would say that my experience in school has been fairly normal, something which I think a lot of us would have had, except for the fact that I was really interested in mathematics, and several chance encounters have made me pursue the mathematics which I do, not only as a career but also as a sport and an art form, which made me the fastest human calculator today. So I would say that my childhood was very similar to everyone, except that I had math to be my favorite sport.
Yeah, I mean, what made you to get that interest? Because I know most of us are, I mean, about 80% of the students will like math. 20% of them, they are completely away from math. But why did you choose, mathematics as a sport, or the art form that you've been saying? I mean, is it already there instinct? I mean, in your instincts, or how did that happen?
Sure. I would say that personally, today as I speak, I think I would attribute that to several chance encounters on how I've learned my mathematics. And I would say that, see, how do we get to like a sport? It's because someone has taught us, that someone has actually taken us to a ground where we've watched something. So in that sense, I would say that I was 5 when I met with an accident, and I was at home for an entire year. And in this time, I picked up mental calculation, something which was remotely interesting for me, because I was told that some brain activity is good to do. While I did see that there are other mental sports, I never did realize that this is something which I aspire and be one of the biggest names in.
Yeah.
I looked into Shakuntala Devi Garu, a lot of people, and I was like, how do these people do it? How is this possible? And it intrigued me, and I would say that I would not have believed that I would probably race past these people's records and break few world records, even win an international Olympic medal for India in calculations and math. Had you told me this 5 years ago or 6 years ago? Although I would say that the journey has been incremental, one step at a time, where I won. It's not like a eureka moment, or how people might think it is that, hey, I think I'm quick now. That never happened. It was just a progressive one step at a time. And there came a day where I realized that I was actually quicker than everyone around me. And I went to nationals and internationals and won them in the first go and stuff like that. And I would say that at the end of the day, why does this sport or math in general interest me a lot? Is because, and that's something which even I, with several of my initiatives and my startup are exploring, is that how can math not only be something which you use to be better at science, technology, and engineering, but also as a way to redefine yourself. In fact, for who I am today, I can do calculations while I speak to you, right? That's one of the biggest demonstrations which I do everywhere I go, to say that math is beyond. For instance, I'm going to take a number which is 57, and I'm going to say 57, 100, and add 57s to it, which is 57, 114, 171, 228, 285, 342, 399, 456, 5 and 3, 570, 5, 627, 684. And I keep doing that in my mind. Right now, it's still going on, and I'm at 1197, 1254, 1311, 1367, 1425, 1482.
Wow.
And we keep doing back and forth, and I'm at 1667. The only way this is possible is when you realize, when I realized on a day that, hey, the math I learned actually developed me cognitively. In terms of, let's say, cognition, as people would know, is about how a human being thinks, how a human being understands, learns, memorizes, interprets,
Yeah.
decides on. So these are skills which are more than math. And I realized that one of the days, in fact, my revelation was very cinematic in that sense, where I was actually breaking and trying to break a world record over and over at home. And I realized that I actually did it while hearing the music of a certain beat. And I realized that maybe things are very close. We don't really think of it as much. And I set on a journey which today is Exploring Infinities, my startup, which helps kids across the world to tap into that potential and, more importantly, apply math in the world around them.
Yeah, here, couple of takeaways, right? The first one, like you were mentioning, is the realizations. The way you have realized that, you can break the world record, or you can break, any records that are there, and you have
Yes.
realized that. So, at what age you have realized that?
At any given point of time, I don't think I've thought that, okay, I'm capable of doing things. So I would say that the moment I won my national championship for the first time in my first attempt in
Okay.
2011 is when I
Okay.
realized that there's something more to this. It was like, okay.
Yeah.
But the real concrete hit was when I went to the international championship for the first time. There are
Yeah.
around 4,000 kids who were doing speed calculations. And at the end of the day, calculations, a lot of people say that, Bhanu, why do you calculate? We have a calculator in front of us. We have a phone, right? What is the point
Yes.
of doing calculations?
That's my next
And
question.
yeah, my answer to that was that, and this is something which I consistently tell everyone, is that when a musician sings, you don't say that, oh, I have my Spotify, I have the phone, I have my music here, why do you play it? Why do you want to sing? Or, for that matter, why does Usain Bolt run? Does he not have a car? He does, right? He has a car. The exercise and the way in which you think to get to a certain answer in mathematics determines how you train your brain. And the moment I went and won the international championship for the first attempt,
Yeah.
is when I understood that my take on math was different than just being quick. It was about thinking quick and how this thinking quick can help you in every aspiration of life.
Yeah. Okay. So here, I've received one of the questions before I, get deeper into the discussion. I want to ask you that. I mean, how do you define mathematics in your terms? What is mathematics?
Um, in terms of how I would say, I think I would counter question it. What do you think language is? Right? When I say what do you think language is? Language is a medium through which you learn the world around you. Yeah, it's a joke if I say that it's just communication. No, you learn the world around you through language. And I would
Yes.
say that math is such a thing. It's a way you learn the world around you. If I see a lot of sheep, if I do not know my mathematical understanding, I say a lot of sheep. The moment I say 101 sheep is when I'm being precise, right? So precision with qualitative abilities, the quality and quantity of every single entity in the world, be it the
Yes.
technology we are building, be it the decisions we take, be it the businesses we build, be it the profit making propositions each and every one of us go, or for that matter, for a school child, just the calculation he does. All of these
Yeah.
start at one beginning, where a human being says that, just like how sun rises in the east, it's a universal truth.
True.
Math is a collection of universal truths which are open for you to understand more and more. And for me, bottom line, one sentence definition is math is a way in which we learn the world around us qualitatively and quantitatively. So that gap, which I would say, and for that matter, I see math in everything which I have done so far. I do public speaking, I do this, and we realize that the observation of patterns, the observation of recurrence, the observations of how you think, at what paces you think, what science is, what technology is, engineering, management, all of these. When I speak, I need language to say this out loud, right? In a similar
Yeah.
sense, to understand the full scope of it, imagine that there is a top world and a bottom world intersection. You build the capabilities to understand everything. So math is that. Math is the one which complements language for your understanding of the world.
I think you have given a mathematical definition for mathematics, and yeah, all right. So, okay. And after your schooling, you have done any degree after that?
Yeah, I actually went to IIIT Hyderabad for a year for computer science, but then I dropped out to move to St. Stephen's College for a degree in mathematics because I thought that
Okay.
that's something which I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I pursued research and a few other things there. I just finished my bachelor's at St. Stephen's College this year in lockdown. Yeah, and I mean, I personally would say that my entire college life also was such that I was running enterprises, I was running this, I was doing shows globally. So in that sense, I would say that my understanding towards math made me do that multitasking to a certain capacity, which I think would not have been mortally possible otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And initially you were mentioning that, if at all you are good at mathematics, I mean, for your definition, right? I mean, mathematics is, it's all about, the way you see life, or through mathematics, you can see the entire life. So can you give us few instances like that, say, because you have learned mathematics or the speed math, that the skill that you have acquired, because of that, in the real life skills also, anything that has been improved, did you see any
Absolutely.
connection here?
Absolutely. In fact, let me actually take a standpoint of a student, right? Of a student who, or a school student or a school management to understand this. This just the idea is that speed mathematics, if I have to give you an example, is like training your brain, right? I mean, this is a good mechanism to do. Tell your brain how to do push-ups and pull-ups. The moment you do push-ups and pull-ups, you're fit. You're capable of doing everything. I mean, a lot of people say abacus kar lo, Vedic math kar lo, do this, do that. It's not the
Yeah,
same. Reason is that if I have to run a 100-meter race, I have to run a 100-meter race. I can't say that I've gone in a bike and say that I
yeah,
reached there, right?
yeah.
So in that sense, my learnings were the speed and the understanding, experiential math learning. I would say has formed the crux of every business which I've entered. In fact, my first startup was a food and beverage company back when I was in 11th grade. And that was
Oh,
possible only because of the fact that I knew my things around finances. I knew my things around business plans. I knew my things around, and the reason why is because the moment you understand math, concepts like technology, science, entrepreneurship, management,
yeah.
they seem intuitional. Do you understand? I mean, if I have to say this,
Got
the learnings don't seem like academia anymore. They feel like how. So that's the point, right? When you understand the language and you understand the language well, a poem is just a story for you. But if you don't understand the language well, poem is something you need to buy heart. And in a similar sense, I would say that it has led me into doing my first business in school. When I was in school, we ran a what do we say, customized t-shirt campaign, and the break-even analysis for the entire thing. Or how do you do this back in 2014, or for that matter, the next one. And be it technology or computer science, today, whenever we look at AI, ML, we look at a lot of fancy terms which people use, saying that, "Acha, learn the code." But I'd say that artificial intelligence and machine learning, two concepts, are way more intuitional to a mathematician than someone who just understands basic coding. Because for me, my first juncture where I came across these terms and what they mean and one application of the same was when I was in 11th grade and 12th grade, where we were projecting what our scores would be later on based on what we already have. And that
Yeah,
basically is AIML for you. So I would say that one thing is that all the fields which I've talked about right now, science,
yeah,
technology, engineering, entrepreneurship, and stuff, have stemmed from a mathematician's mind sometime before. Not now, sometime before. Now,
right.
if you are in that very boots, you obviously understand it in a much more intuitional way. It's like you see the road in front of you, you see the bricks being laid out, and then you see the building being built, rather than just going and visiting a monument. You know how it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that
So
sense, I would say that at every given point of time, the speed or whatever I've learned have helped me extensively.
again, there is a good connection here, right? I mean, the way you talked about entrepreneurship and mathematics. So do you think that, every entrepreneur who is setting up a business should be at least, leveled up with their mathematical skills?
Undoubtedly. In fact, the most successful people out there are people who understand risk, are people who understand what projections are people who understand what and how dynamic business models work. Because as we understand, it's like this, right? Math is just a way you look at the world and say that this is probably how whatever I create will behave. So
Yeah.
you're sort of making a conscious attempt at understanding the things beyond what you are. In fact, be it algorithms. Algorithms. When you write an algorithm, you expect it to function in a certain way. The
Yeah.
expectations are derived from a logic which you build, which can only be built through math. If I have to say this, it's like going to a doctor. If a doctor says, if you ask a doctor how to be fit, how can my heart be fit, you will be told to walk, regardless of wherever you are in the world, regardless of what you are, right? Even if you're a human being, if you're talking about your pet, if you're talking about anything, it's walking, right? So in that sense, the walking, talking, swimming, and push-ups, pull-ups for your brain is just logical constructs. And in the way when I say math, don't get me for just calculations, right? Calculations are a part of
Yeah.
it. If I have to put it this way, math is a huge sea, but the first waves which hit you is arithmetic calculations. They scare
True.
you away. Once you get comfortable with this, and for every parent or teacher who's watching this, is that once you get that, then you go in and you see the beauty of it. In fact, one of our modules at Exploring Infinities is math with colors. This is where we have bridged people into art, where we say
Yeah.
that, hey, let's look at all the properties of numbers through colors and why the color wheel exists the way it does
Yeah.
mathematically. Now, it's a beautiful thing because but for it, or but for binary, but for a lot of systems, nothing. I mean, I'm not communicating with you. You are not watching me right now. So I would say that it is everywhere, and just like how language is in every conversation you have, every single decision you take. In fact, I mean, a lot of my decisions in my world, my life have been entirely driven by math and logic. So yeah, I would say that that's the reason why we have to emphasize more on numeracy building, just like how we build on literacy. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again, here, I mean, you have rightly pointed, right? I mean, mathematics is not just the calculations or arithmetics. There are a lot of young kids, they hate math. That is the reason, they say that, I really don't want to. But if at all they are trying to get rid of math, at some point or the other point, they are definitely going to again start using mathematics in their life, right? So how do they develop that interest towards mathematics?
I think one statement which I tell everywhere is that not everyone who sets on to learn English has to become an author, right? Right. So, in a similar sense, everyone who sets on to learn or be able to learn math does not have to be someone who uses it entirely. It's a skill set to have, and
Yeah.
every walk of life, it's like this, right? I mean, it's like the Instagram filters we have, right? The moment you click, you put the filter on, it's an entirely different picture. So
Yeah.
having that mathematical filter in your brain is important, because you look at things in a slightly an extremely different way at times, right? Something
Yeah.
which is not very intuitional to what a non-mathematician would look like. In
Yeah.
fact, I would say, as you mentioned, a lot of people say that I'm scared of math and move into relatively non-math fields. People say that they are humanities. People say it's
Yeah.
historians. People say we'll move into politics. People say we'll move into relatively different stuff, which might not have all of these. But
Yeah.
one thing, mind you, is that yeah, the degree to which or the capacity to which the math there involved is probably different. But at the bottom of it, these are the two fundamental ways you develop your cognition. Which is, I mean, if I have to put it this way, it's like saying that there are two skills which you need to get and derive from the moment you're born till the moment you figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
Language and numeracy play a major role in this. So just
Correct.
negating one thing sort of handicaps you into not understanding a certain aspect of it.
Yeah.
While that might not be such problematic in a lot of cases, it's definitely a skill to have. And in that very capacity, I would tell you that the phobia of mathematics today is because of fundamental reasons of why. I mean, I would not put it on people or not say that kids don't learn or stuff like that, because that's not true. The major reason why there is a scare of mathematics is because of the way it is taught. And the objectives of it are very different. The
Yeah.
objectives of math education in schools across the world, I'm not even saying country, across the world are be good at science, apply this. Math is the tool to success. You need to know this to understand technology engineering. No, I would say, I mean, in fact, me with Exploring Infinities and Vision Math Foundation, which what I head for global reforms, talk about saying that the objectives of math education should be about understanding our own human cognition. The
Yeah.
moment that is changed, just like how the objective of English is not about how you can write emails with it, how you can write memos with it, how you can sort of write proposals with it. It's usually about how you can communicate and how it's an essential, how it can
Yeah.
improve you as a person. Now, how, in fact, for someone who does not learn any language properly, it's harder for them to communicate with themselves. In a similar sense, this is such that the moment and for that matter, that's the reason why I personally with Exploring Infinities have been promoting math in non-math circles more than the math circles, because science people understand, ठीक है कि हमें math करना है, sure, but the amount of applications of discrete math or analytical math or logical reasoning across entrepreneurship, for that
Yeah.
matter, high level optimization, software, social sciences, economics, finance, chartered accountancy, or any walk of life you take, right?
Yes.
Medicine today, medicine now more than ever, because everything is a statistical goal. For today, we are talking here on a live platform because of Corona, the COVID pandemic outside, and how the vaccine testing is being normally distributed, how it's being checked, what's happening. So, in an ideal world, there is always a quantitative and a qualitative study. Right now, what you're watching will tell you how many viewers are watching this, right? We all are people, and if I have to dump it down, when you were a kid, Pavan, even I'll probably ask you, is that when you were going to a park, you probably walked in a pattern, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
probably saw were like, Acha, I'll put a leg in this, I'll put a leg in this, and I'll put the leg in the next diagonal. I'll not touch the black squares and stuff. You would have done it.
Yes.
For anyone who's watching this, you might have counted stars before your parents have told you कि नहीं करना, छोड़ दो, बहुत हो गया. What is this? Humans in general are mathematically inquisitive
True.
and talented. And why would I say that? You take a 1 month, 2 month old baby who can just walk, put them in the middle of a room, put two chocolates at the end, five chocolates at the other end. If they can walk, they will go to the five chocolates. This is an observation. Does the kid know five is greater than two? No. The kid understands quantity. The kid might not understand photosynthesis. The kid might not understand xylem phloem. The kid might not understand Excel sheets, but he for will understand this. That's because how we are built. We are language, and these are the fundamentals. And the emphasis on it today, the emphasis on how we can be coding more things, creating more things. And sure, while that is great, the only way you create better is when you understand your thought much better, and there's no better way than this, which has been left out for a significant amount of time. Yeah.
Great. I mean, yeah, I'm just speechless now. The way you have, rightly put across, why mathematics is important, why that phobia is not required. I think it's, I mean, great way to explain that. So, Bhanu, I mean, after your degree, again, when did you start exploring, infinities, and what is your entire vision for that? I know that you have achieved a lot, but what is your vision towards mathematics? And the second question that I want to ask you is, already you've talked about the way math is being taught in the schools, right? I mean, what are your suggestions for the teachers or the school management here, how seriously that they need to take math, or how well they need to adapt to new practices so that the kids will get that interest towards math, or the kind of life skill that you are mentioning can be developed?
First things first, since that's a question to ask, I would say that in general, what is problematic is the way math curriculum is structured, and as I mentioned, that's because of the objectives of it. Exploring Infinities is something which I've founded, started off as an initiative, as a full-scale tech startup now, was in 2018. And that was after 2 years of groundwork by me and several other individuals on understanding what and why people don't like mathematics,
Yes.
what it takes for them to start loving it, how do you engage them in non-school activities to think beyond, and majorly capturing from my learning of becoming the fastest human calculator, enabling games as a way to do so. So, what I would say is that uh, there are two kinds of people and two kinds of students. And I think you'll clearly understand why I'm going to this distinction. The kids who will run to be fit, who will do exercises, who will do fitness, who will do the PTs in schools, who will do the exercises which you prescribe, go through the systems and stuff. The other kind of kids are the kids who play sports, right? Where there is a competitive environment, where you play a game, you enjoy yourself. The both lead to the same goal, which is being fitter and better physically and healthy. In that very same sense, doing calculations and math and understanding it like the school curriculum is the formal way. The unorthodox way is to generate an interest, spike a sport around this. And that was the major crux of beginning exploring infinities, is how do you build a competitive environment for kids to come, learn, visualize, and understand mathematical concepts from the bare beginning. And when I say the bare beginning, just assume nothing exists, right? The fundamental questions of why we count in tens, the fundamental questions of why zero exists, now the questions of why people had to move away from Roman numerals, the questions of why division or multiplication were existential crises for people back then,
Yeah.
or how cryptography in the World War has made in the World War II literally stopped massacre, right? The physical implications of your learning. I mean, these are questions which we don't ask ourselves. And if
Yeah.
I have to put it this way, it's like saying that in school, how do we learn math? Nothing to blame on the school management at all here. The thing is, the construct is such. The construct is such that I'll tell you, and this is the reason because, and I'll put it out there with a good example, and that's something which I use. I take examples from English and sports quite often. Is if I take a kid and teach him nouns, pronouns, and adjectives in KG1, the kid would never want to speak English. We tell them what poems are, we tell them what stories are, then
Yeah.
we tell them what things are, and then we go to nouns and pronouns.
Yeah.
So if you see, the final structure is the end goal. The spiking of interest and relatability is the first clause, which does
Correct.
not exist in math education even
True.
today, because of how we have organized it. And that's something which I was like, okay, curriculum change, these are revolutionary, these are things which should come. But with my edtech company, which is Exploring Infinities, we're offering post-school hour and in-school hour engagements to schools across the country. And the logic is that we are not going to intervene into your curriculum, and we are not going to be under the pressure of saying that your kids will do this quick, whatever. We'll be going around the same concepts, but our narratives will only be about historical senses, understanding it, having fun with them, and general exploration. So and that's something which I personally believe is what is required in the edtech revolutions of today, which is the customization, and the trajectories in which the kid can take his own learning to. And that's something which I personally believe in, because a lot of people out there are like, coding ka course hai, join ho jao. That's okay, cool, great. But for a 6-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid, what do you want them to know? Is to tell them that this is how the world learned these things. Now you can have the freedom to go explore either of them through us. So that's the reason why we set up an extended session plan and workshops and events in such a way that the kid understands, appreciates a certain concept, and then specializes in it, which is the entire trajectory. Which is, I start with it, I'll be given and understood. I understand the same way the world, quantities, and stuff like that are, and then I go say that, okay, I like the applications of this in business. Sure, let me go there. I like the applications in technology. Let me go there. So math is like the channel it has to be when it's taught this way. And the motive of starting Exploring Infinities was just this, which is, one, eradicate math phobia, two, make math fun. That's it. There are two objectives. Eradicate math phobia, that's only possible by making people calculate quick, because that's the fundamental problem which we as a nation, in fact, I'll specifically talk about the nation, have, is that the general big questions which you're given in schools, the moment I cannot do it, I will not understand it anymore. I will be scared. The moment there is an XYZ coming into my math, variables come in, I do not understand it. There is no relatability. These are the ones which we have plucked. And I mean, as far as now, we have around 10,000 to 12,000 kids who have become 3 to 4 times quicker in math and also are exploring several big aspirations there. So I'd say that that's the goal, which is to reach out to a
I
million
mean,
students
yeah,
in the
now
next
talking
couple of
about the
years.
aspirations, right? I mean, say the minute say you are very much confident about math, right? What could be the aspirations for the kids? I mean, as a parent, if at all you put in the parental perspective, if at all my kid is the fastest, human calculator, or if my kid has explored the math in and out, what could be the aspirations that they could see for their kids?
In fact, I'll give you a quick example. Is that the kids who have gone through whatever we have learned or whatever we have been putting out there, we've realized that the kids have much more clarity in terms of what they want to do and what they like because you get a realistic understanding towards what things are, right? But not by just going the face value of things. Being good at math, being good at calculations is just a way to not be scared of math. That's the first attempt. Second one is to be good at it holistically, which is the advanced math which you talk about, right? The
Yeah.
moment that is done is when you realize that, hey, the applications, I've scoped through 5 to 10 applications. I've been exposed to a few ideas from the beginning, just like this, right? I mean, if someone wants to be a civil engineer, there is
Yeah.
two ways to get about them. One is to just give them a Lego and say, you like building Lego, you be a civil engineer. Or the other is to show them cement and bricks and say that this is what it is all about, right? So that is the foundational aspect is the real one, which makes you feel what this actually is, rather than the fun element. I mean, right now that's what everyone's focused on. This is the aesthetic element, but not the crux. And I'd say that a kid who's okay again may not be the quickest calculator, but who understands math in and out, as mentioned, at
Yes.
least a part of it will be extremely sound in logic. The moment you ask a statement, I put up a English statement in a business tomorrow, which this person is heading. Understanding the in and out of that statement will be built through logic and math. And there's no way this will not happen to any kid who's exceptionally well. So I'd say that putting sort of weight to every understanding and critically analyzing everything, the analyzation and problem solving skills which are beyond drag and drop systems which we see today are
Yeah.
what will just change the way the child looks at the world. And once that is done, I think who are we? They will know what to do and what not to do. In fact, we've had kids who've done 6 to 7 months of math education with us and then said that we love history and we'll explore it and we have found it through this, which is this. So I would say that that's the extreme case which I'll probably put in terms of the clarity of thought kids can have in what they do.
Interesting. Interesting. And I have a question from Shantanu here. Shantanu is saying he's a big math fan. I saw math can mirror life. Thanks for the opportunity. My question is, can you give us a few instances in real life that maths is completely embedded in?
Okay, okay. You will probably expect me to do something around science and technology and stuff like that, or nature, but I'm going to do something in psychology right now. Right? I'm going to give you an example in human psychology. So, Pavan Garu, if you can do this small experiment with me,
Yeah.
I just want you to count down from 10 with me. Right? 10 seconds.
Perfect.
That's it. 10,
Yes. 10,
9,
9,
9, 8,
9, 8, 7,
7,
6,
6,
5,
5, 4,
4, 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1, 0. How long did that feel like?
Probably around, say, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Yes. Little,
Yeah,
little more.
it's been 10 seconds since then. Since we stopped counting, it's already been 10 seconds.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if I have to do it, if I have to probably put it here, I'll probably like be much more vocal about this. Is if I'm going to count down from 10, right? It's going to be 10,
10,
9, And I think Pavan garu, now you just observe, right? I mean, everyone just observe this. 10,
Yes. 10,
9,
9,
8,
7,
7,
6,
6, 5,
4,
4, 3,
3,
2, 1, and 0. So the concept is that we perceive time to be longer when we count it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And it's been 10 seconds since we stopped counting already, but we did not
yes,
perceive that.
yes,
That's because the attention of a human brain is much higher when he's counting, right? Right? Now, as we count, my attention is right here.
correct.
So when a lot of people ask me, how do you do your calculations? It's like if you've seen DC comics, right? There is Flash. If Flash runs, the world around him slows down. How does that work? Similar, right? When we are talking and we are counting numbers out loud, the time around us was moving relatively slow. Perception, I mean, not really. Scientifically, time is how much a light thing takes for like going for so many meters and stuff. That's just defined in a different way. But the perception, this is one example of saying that being able to consciously count and do calculations makes us more attentive
Yeah,
at any given point of time, right? So this is something which I practice every time I sort of want to give something a thought. I'd say Bhanu 60-second timer, 60-second timer, and then I count 60, and that time seems so much longer for me, and I'm like, I have enough time to actually give it a thought, right? So it's like just saying that you can consciously expand and contract your perception of time based with numbers. And this is
yeah,
just, and this is not rocket science. This is proven science on how you perceive time, how that's in the occipital lobe, and how that sort of works. The reason why I've told you this is because I mean, closest to you is you, right? I mean, how you
yeah,
perceive things, and that's probably why I brought this up. But otherwise, I would say, I mean, any kid who's doing a good job in their school will tell you that about golden ratio, will tell you about like the distance between your arm to your finger divided by this is always 1.6, and the
yeah,
same distance is between this and any other place in the world, the Fibonacci, the cosmic radiation, or be it sunflower orientation, the density of the amount of petals in a sunflower. All of these come down to 1.6 somehow. And yeah, I mean, in that way, I would say that the world around you has way more math than what you think. And sometimes even the way you think can be affected by it extensively. So that's the whole, yeah.
great. So how is your entrepreneurial journey so far? I mean, because your core product is math, I mean, you are doing what you are exceptionally good at. But on the other sides, right? I mean, talking about, say, on the marketing or on the sales, there are 100 other departments that you will have to, focus through. So currently, what are the challenges you have been facing, and how did your mathematical ability has helped to solve few of the things?
Oh, for us, exploring infinities, as I mentioned, right? I mean, for people who are watching this, we do programs for kids directly called Math Wizard and Turn on the Computer in You. They're two coursewares, and these coursewares are for 6 to 10 year olds and 11 to 16 year olds for doing calculations extensively quickly. But that's not just about it, because I mean, a lot of people think that this is a substitute abacus course or stuff like that. That's not it. This just begins there. This happens in the first 1 month, but the later courseware is about how do you understand the details of it, become exceptionally good at what you do, even go ahead and do stuff later. Now, as Pavan mentioned, there are several departments, right? I mean, there is entire marketing, there is sales, there is people, there is curriculum research, there is game development, there is data, there's a lot of other things which we rely on. My experience with this, I mean, with what do we say, the new age products which we are offering for kids, an immersive experiential math learning, as we call it, which is how do you experience the learning yourselves by saying, in fact, a couple of examples is that you tell kids to understand a concept by themselves through story narratives, through sitting and putting up a scenario in front of them. Management and marketing has been fairly easy in terms of us, because of the fact that I do a lot of shows and people know for who I am. But I'd say that we are just moving into the phase of aggressively going into schools and saying that, see, now we have 2.5 to 3 years of research to tell you why exactly you need to change and why this is the way ahead. And to get it out there into the people is something which we are currently working on. I'd say that that's where we face a few roadblocks at. But I would say that otherwise, in terms of our general understanding towards the subject and what we want to do, we're fantastic. So I'd say that, I mean, all my math learning so far has been very helpful in terms of how we modeled what we do, understanding and assessing impacts of kids. I mean, the structural critical appreciation of everything. That those are great, and every decision which we have taken on consciously whether to move in India, reject or accept fundraisings, take in the right kind of funds at the right kind of time, coming to the best business model there is. I mean, all of these are, I think, battles of their own, which can be won with good understandings of what you do in a quantitative way.
Absolutely. So now again, talking about the programs that Exploring Infinity has. Now I'm just going to play a small video on that, so that our students will be understanding what exactly you cater to, and then probably we'll also discuss with the schools and also the students on how Metamorphosis is also trying to introduce math read programs for their kids.
Now, this is one of our students.
Hi guys, I'm Sariko Tamanju. I'm 10 years old. I live in USA, Florida. I study at Goldsboro Magnet School Elementary. Met Mr. Bhanu, the world's fastest human calculator. As you can see, I am really crazy about math. Left to right methods have been really helping my brain solve multiplications and additions and subtractions faster. I'm waiting for the Trachtenberg methods. Trachtenberg methods. It is really exciting. I've heard about it everywhere, and I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Bhanu and Mr. Day for organizing these sessions. I joined, turned on the computer. It is really fascinating. It helped me a lot. I can't wait to the next levels. And thank you. I'm Sarika.
Sure. Coming to the, let's say, Pavan garu, coming to the workshop, which we have planned on how we would want to, what do we say, go ahead. I mean, the video which we have shown is just a small one of the several hundreds of people who have gone through. But the Mathlete, Wizards, and Young Learners, the two workshops, which we have said would be a good premise to making people understand what math is. I mean, if you see the session's first objective is how can math be fun? That's where what we sort of are the crux of what we like, and then we go ahead and talk about cognitive ability assessments, which is how can a person and where do they stand when we talk about cognitive abilities, or how do you stand? There are several games which we make kids across play and say that, hey, here we are, let's learn a method and see how quickly you can only get. And these are immersive games which we've had kids play. And in fact, it's crazy to see that Pavan Garu that we've given let's say a game to attempt once to kids as an assessment, and we have in these workshops we have kids who play 400 to 500 times in the span of 4 days, who are just immersed in it and say that I love this. This looks fantastic, and their speed increasing from just 10 something which they do in 100 seconds today all the way to 9 seconds tomorrow, which is just how immersive. I mean, if I have to put it this way, right? People, when you kicked the ball for the first time in school in football, it went nowhere, right? I mean, it was right there probably. Or when you hit a shot cricket. This is similar, and that's the reason why we have something called math as a sport and how one can inculcate it. Math beyond numbers, where we talk about art and applications of music around it. And yeah, technology and math, the experiential math learning. So if you see, I think the title speaks for all of it, which is child's first step towards learning math in a fun way. And kids get 4 times quicker when they do this, but that's not the selling point which you have put here, because that is okay. That people will, you will, I will, we'll get quicker at what we do, sure. But what I believe in, coming from a mathematician, we don't really believe in the fact that numbers speak for the entire learning, but about how you look at the world around you and what changes there talks about everything else. And yeah, the 3-session plan. In fact, I think after let's say our conversations with Pavan Garu and Metamorphosis, I've decided to take this particular workshop, which we are going to be rolling out soon, entirely by myself, so that we can have that personal touch. Although, because I think that speaks a lot more of how I think one can learn maths passionately and how things can go from there.
Definitely. Definitely. So what I'll do is, I mean, Bhanu, I'm completely, even when I first spoke to you, I also realized that there is a lot of connection towards entrepreneurship with mathematics, what you have been trying to teach, because like you said, their logical abilities or, the calculated risks or the decision makings, everything, I think math plays a very crucial role here.
Absolutely, absolutely, undoubtedly, and for that matter, if I look at it even beyond, right, just not the entrepreneurial thought, but at the end of the day, if you want to build an enterprise, you need to have a core skill, right? I mean, I think that's something which even Pavan and Metamorphosis would agree and sort of talk about everywhere you go. Is the number of startups in India which deal with finance, the number of startups in India which deal with relatively math heavy things are extremely low because of the fact that we're scared of numbers. And that restricts us from half the domains of businesses. In fact, I think my second most interested walk of life after math is entrepreneurship. And I've seen that the amount of math which can go into creating your own USPs is beyond what we think of. And and yeah, I mean, being someone who's actively worked on optimization and such enterprises, which is, I mean, if you see kids out there probably watching this, I mean, in one of the Pavan Garu, in one of the courses which we do, we talk about how Uber is a successful business model because of how intellectual their math model is in matching pool drivers. Because that's a celebration of both, which is math and entrepreneurship packaged into one single piece because of how it is. Netflix today, I mean, Netflix today gives you what you want, right? I mean, it gives you what you want. What's on your mind, you get it in front of you. How do you do that? The math behind it. So I'm not saying that every entrepreneur should be a mathematician, but understanding what is capable in mathematics can broaden your horizons in even entrepreneurship and looking at what is possible and what is not.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Bhanu, I think it's my privilege to have you today here. The kind of conversation that we had, I know it was very, the kind of conversation we had is just very insightful, but I think there is a seed that has been, put in all the students' minds today that mathematics is not just a subject; it's a life skill. Mathematics is
This.
not, mathematics is not. It's not about the calculations or it's not about the arithmetics, but it has got application everywhere in every part that you are trying to implement. I think mathematics is there everywhere, and kudos to you for the kind of achievements that you have got,
Thank you.
and the kind of courses that you have launched are extremely
Also,
very.
I think I just found the video. Do you think I should share that?
Yeah,
The
please.
video of the ones. Yeah, if you can enable the sharing, I'll probably do that.
I think you can.
Yeah, cool. No, I should be given an access. Hello, host. Yeah,
Navin, can you please?
cool. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I mean, here we have. Just give a moment. I am Neelkantha Prakash, and I hold 4 world records and 50
There is a lag in the video.
human.
Banu, I think there is a lag in the video.
You can't see the videos?
Can't see the video, but yeah, can you just? I think I have the video. Let me just. Yeah, now this is. Yeah, yeah.
The human brain is capable of doing things which we can't even imagine. I am Neelkantha Prakash, and I hold 4 world records and 50 Limca book records for being the fastest human. Fast. How does your brain think? One, brought to you by Exploring Infinities in partnership with Diplomathon Global is exactly for that. This workshop is going week-long workshop is going to consist methods and methodologies, strategies, and the things which you need to know. You think quicker, compute quickly, mathematics quickly, and also developing cognitive abilities in our brain, which can be used in every single field. Quick subtractions, quick multiplications, being able to visualize things like fractions, decimals, and understanding the math around us, and also understanding how these calculations happen in your head, which is the usage of cognitive abilities like iterative memory, long-term memory, short-term memory. I'm not going to elaborate on that, but yes, this workshop is going to cover all of these, and we'll be talking about scientific approaches towards mental calculation and how you can develop your brain in such a way that you will be a math wizard. You will be able to do things which you couldn't imagine ever before. Workshops, cognitive ability development, understanding, and a lot of practice sessions.
I think there was little lag in the video, but I'm going to share the video with all our viewers and also to the students. So thank you for that, Bhanu. And
Yeah, I think that should be it, guys. The workshops, which I mean, I think we'd probably be putting forth, would have all of these things which I've mentioned, and hopefully, I think that'll be good in onset to journeys together, because I personally see that the journey of breaking out of math phobia is beautiful in its own sense, and now on how what doors it opens for kids, and I think that's pretty much on what we, and as exploring infinities and me, as the world's fastest human calculator, bring forth, because the records are there, but I mean, and they'll continue to be there, but what matters is about how that kindles interests in hundreds of others. Yeah.
wow, wow. I think this is going to create a lot of impact, and also, making the kids to get out of that math phobia and making them to understand it's a life skill. I think that is a key takeaway of the session. And I'm going to share the schedule of the workshops and also the curriculum and all the details with you all. I know I'll see you soon in the sessions, and wishing you all a very happy Diwali. Happy Diwali, Bhanu. Thank you so much.
Happy Diwali, Pavan. Happy Diwali to all the people who are watching this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you so much, and see you soon in the sessions. Thank you.
See you. Bye. 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 Yeah.